Doctor Who is all about mysteries. How do we know this? Well, there's one right there in the title. However, much like the real name of the Doctor, there are some mysteries that must never ever be answered. Or at least not like this. For every River is the daughter of Amy and Rory, there's a mystery resolution that doesn't quite hit the mark. I'm Ellie for Who Culture, and these are 10 Doctor Who mysteries with the worst possible answers. Number 10, the 13th Doctor's Fob Watch. The 13th Doctor's decision to not open the fob watch containing her lost memories is definitely satisfying on a character level. It's an explicit choice by the Doctor to focus on who they are in the current moment rather than be defined by their past. It's also a pretty decent allegory for a 60-year-old TV show as well. However, this choice still felt quite disappointing in the moment. The whole reason that the flux happened was because the Doctor had gone poking around in her past, and it destroyed half the universe. Not only that, but the Doctor watched Swarm and Azure murder her adopted mother and came face to face with time itself. After all that madness, it does feel like a bit of a cop-out for the Doctor not to get some answers, especially when those answers were literally in the palm of her hand. This is what she was looking for all this time, and she just throws it away? And ultimately, we're no further forward with the mysteries of the Division or the Fugitive Doctor than when those concepts were first introduced. Although, let's be honest, the true disappointment will likely come when a future showrunner decides to actually open the fob watch. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Number 9. Why this face? When Peter Capaldi was cast as the 12th Doctor, everyone was adamant that the show should acknowledge why he looked like Caecilius from the Fires of Pompeii. They were in luck because Stephen Moffat agreed with them and promised that answers would come. He first hints at this in Deep Breath when the 12th Doctor ponders who frowned him that face, alongside a rather bewildered onlooker. Skip ahead to The Girl Who Died and the answer was provided in full, but it all felt a bit underwhelming. After Ashilda dies from the strain of using the Maya helmet, the 12th Doctor is angry and guilty, and that's when it hits him. He chose the face of Caecilius because it reminded him to always try and save people. But hang on, isn't that what the Doctor does anyway? At the time he chose this face, he'd just spent centuries defending the people of Christmas from all manner of evil invaders. Surely he could just remember that if he was ever in doubt about his purpose. And anyway, it wasn't Caecilius who convinced him to save his family, it was Donna. So why didn't he choose her face, eh? Now that would have been a plot twist. Number 8. Who is Susan Triad? Susan Twist's regular cameos in Season 1 were perhaps an even bigger mystery than the identity of Ruby's mother. Fans were coming up with all kinds of explanations for why this woman was following the Doctor and Ruby everywhere. We even had a regular Twist Watch segment throughout the season, chatting about all the latest theories. But sadly, the answer was pretty underwhelming. Was she the Doctor's granddaughter Susan? A tech tycoon who'd harnessed TARDIS technology? Someone splintered through time like Clara Oswald or Scaroth, last of the Jaggeroth? Nope. She was created by Sutekh as a sort of angel of death, and dropped off everywhere the TARDIS landed. A combination of Sutekh's giant godlike brain and the TARDIS perception filter. By dropping off Susan's across time and space, the Doctor was unwittingly complicit in increasing her power and influence so that Sutekh could unleash his dastardly plan to bring death to us all. It's such a convoluted explanation that doesn't hold up to much scrutiny. I mean, if Sutekh has been on the TARDIS since the 4th Doctor, then why haven't the other Doctors encountered Susan's too? And in a two-parter with another disappointing reveal, that is a bit of a problem. Still, it's guaranteed Susan Twist decades of work at Doctor Who conventions, so I guess it wasn't a complete waste of time. Number 7. What's going on with Trenzalore? In many ways, 2013 was a great year for Doctor Who, but it ends on a slightly confused note with the resolution to the mystery of Trenzalore. We were led to believe that this was the final resting place for the Doctor in some undisclosed far-off point in the future. However, the time of the Doctor establishes that it's the 11th Doctor who is supposed to die there, having run out of regenerations. So how does he defy this mighty prophecy? A prophecy he's already seen come true in the name of the Doctor. Well, the Time Lords just gift him a brand new regeneration cycle. Easy peasy, job done. After all the doom and gloom, it's strange to have such a magic hand-wavy solution to the Doctor's death on Trenzalore. Yes, he still technically dies, if regeneration even counts as dying, but all this does is fudge the connection between the name of the Doctor and the time of the Doctor. It makes sense that with Matt Smith leaving, Moffat wanted to wrap up all this Trenzalore lore before a new Doctor took over. It's even been rumoured that the time of the Doctor was something of a last-minute rush job, which, while little more than scuttlebutt, would explain why the Trenzalore mystery wasn't concluded as neatly as we'd hoped. Number 6. What's inside the vault? Did Series 10 really need the vault? The 12th Doctor teaching at a university was a great premise that could have ran for years, so there was no need to give him an excuse to be Earthbound. Still, the vault and its contents provided the narrative backbone for Series 10, and it provided a decent enough mystery for fans to obsess over for the first half of the series. Is it Missy? Surely not, that's too obvious. But what if it's John Sims' master? We already know he's coming back thanks to the BBC needlessly ruining it. Or maybe it's the Doctor himself. After all, the Doctor usually ends up locked in a big box if Stephen Moffat's involved. Extremists confirmed what we'd all figured out from the off, that it was Missy, locked inside after the Doctor swore to keep an eye on her. So obvious was this revelation that Extremist doesn't even try to build up to it, instead giving us the answer in literally the opening moments. Now of course, it was a delight to have Michelle Gomez be part of the series, so that in itself was a big plus. It's just that given that Stephen Moffat is a writer who never takes the obvious path, it was really disappointing that he went so route one with this mystery. Number 5. Who is the Doctor's daughter? The story goes that Georgia Moffat, daughter of 5th Doctor actor Peter Davison, originally auditioned for a role in The Unicorn and the Wasp. Instead, she was cast as Jenny in The Doctor's Daughter because it was marketing gold for the series. Her role was first broken a few months before the episode aired, giving fans enough time for lots of feverish speculation. Were we finally about to meet Susan's mother? The hype train for The Doctor's Daughter came to a screeching halt when, before the opening credits had even rolled, we learned that Jenny was cloned from the 10th Doctor's DNA. Was that it? Well, yeah, pretty much. Answering such a potentially huge mystery in a matter of minutes in the episode teaser was such a bizarre decision, and speaks to how the Doctor's Daughter was primarily designed to give a mid-series ratings bump, rather than actually having anything important to say about the Doctor's family. Imagine how much more interesting the Doctor's Daughter would have been if her identity had been more ambiguous to begin with. Instead, Russell T Davies and Stephen Greenhorn were more interested in building hype for the episode rather than delivering an intriguing mystery within it. RTD later pulled a similar trick with The Next Doctor, though he did at least manage to drag out the mystery beyond the opening titles. Number 4. What's the deal with the Valeyard? Right from the start of Trial of a Time Lord, we can tell that the Valeyard really hates the Doctor. The feeling's mutual, for sure, but neither of these characters appear to have met before, so what's going on? Given what we know of the Time Lords, most people would have been fairly satisfied with the revelation that the Valeyard was a corrupt Gallifreyan official scapegoating the Doctor to stop the whole Ravelock scandal from coming out. Instead, the truth is far more complicated and delivered so matter-of-factly that nobody questions the specifics. The Master says that the Valeyard is the embodiment of the Doctor's darker side, from some point between his 12th and final incarnation. But what does that even mean? At the time, it basically meant nothing, as we were so far away from the 12th Doctor that it was hard to care too much. But decades on, could Bi-Generation now provide the answer? Well, the truth is that nobody really knows, and probably never will. The Valeyard reveal only piles on more questions, and reduces Trial of a Time Lord to yet another story about a dying Time Lord trying to steal the Doctor's remaining lives. What's wrong with some good old-fashioned courtroom conspiracy drama, eh? Number 3. Who is Ruby's mother? You all knew this one was coming. After months of speculation and theorizing, the eventual revelation was that Ruby's mother was Louise Miller, just a scared kid who had somehow managed to escape detection for almost 20 years. There's a version of that reveal that would have been a great subversion of both expectations and fan theories, and judging by interviews with Russell T Davies, that's the point he intended to make. We, the fans, are Sutekh, desperately trying to solve a mystery that doesn't have a huge payoff. Except in writing the season, Russell T Davies ramped up the mystery, having Louise in full traitor's cosplay, doing a lot of ominous pointing. He also made such a big deal of all the magic powers that Louise seemed to have. How could she just completely disappear without a trace? How could Ruby conjure up snowflakes whenever she went in time and space? If Ruby's mother is just a normal, everyday person, how does her daughter have superpowers? What do you mean she was pointing at a street sign? No, she wasn't. Frustratingly, none of it held together as a satisfying answer to Season 1's central mystery. Number 2. What's inside Room 11? Set in a mysterious hotel where each room contains someone's darkest fears, the God Complex is one of the highlights of Doctor Who's 6th series. It's largely a standalone tale, but one moment in particular led to years of fan speculation. When the Doctor discovers Room 11, he peers inside, but we the viewers don't get to see what's there. Instead, the Doctor smiles wryly and says, "Of course. Who else?" So, who was it? Who did the Doctor fear most in the universe? River Song? The Master? Michael Grade? The occupant of Room 11 was revealed 2 years later in the 11th Doctor's final story, The Time of the Doctor. And it wasn't what anyone was expecting. Inside the Doctor's room was a crack in time and space. It's revealed that so clearly was not the original intention that it just doesn't land as authentic. In fact, it's glaringly obvious that there was no original intention. Clearly, Moffat thought he could just make something up later, which explains why, in the God Complex, the Doctor describes the crack in time that's apparently inside his room as a who. That's a what, Doctor, not a who. So the thing the Doctor fears most is all of the Time Lords? The restarting of the Time War? Honestly, over a decade later, and we're still not sure. Number 1. Who will the 10th Doctor regenerate into? Back in 2008, the cliffhanger to the Stolen Earth was modern Doctor Who's most audacious moment yet. Shot by a Dalek, the 10th Doctor is taken into the TARDIS by Rose, Donna and Captain Jack, where he begins to regenerate. It was a jaw-dropping moment. Surely we weren't about to get a surprise new Doctor, were we? For context, Russell T Davies had already announced his departure, but David Tennant's own future on Doctor Who was yet to be confirmed. It was therefore the perfect time to pull off such a stunt. In the week between the Stolen Earth and Journey's End, people up and down the country were speculating over how the cliffhanger would resolve itself. It even made the TV news. Had the team in Cardiff pulled off a surprise regeneration? Were we about to meet David Tennant's replacement before he officially resigned from the show? Well, no. He just kind of channeled his regeneration energy into his disembodied hand before the opening credits. After all that hype, the speculation, the news coverage, and it felt really underwhelming. Russell T Davies has since admitted that perhaps they should have got a really famous actor to play the Doctor in 1 or 2 scenes, before reverting back to Tennant. Now that would have certainly been more interesting than what we did get, but hey, at least we got an extra David Tennant out of all this. And if Doctor Who has proven anything, it's that you can never have too many David Tennants. And that concludes our list. Sticking with the mystery theme though, why not check out 10 real mysteries that would make great Doctor Who episodes? In the meantime, I've been Ellie for Who Culture, and in the words of River Song herself, goodbye, sweeties.